The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 490, Mr. Somich.
490? Huzzah!
Wow, yeah. Getting
it's
closer and closer. Yeah, almost to 500. But before we get there, we've got to get through Delmar's Saturday late pick 5. A sequence that if you used our picks from last week's show, if you kind of Frankenstein together a ticket, you would have hit it. Hopefully one of us can hit this straight. But an interesting one because you've got a grade 1 race. Then you've also got open 12-5, 10-5K claimers all on the same card. So, and I think that was the harder of the two to handicap, honestly.
Yeah, when I was looking through this, I was like, oh, okay, like the sequence is going along. You handicap the 6th, the 7th, a nice little maiden special race, the 8th, you got a grade 1, and then you scroll down to the 9th, you're like, what the heck is this doing here? Like, why isn't this the 3rd race on the card? But I'm happy it's there. I have a single in that race. And you're not even using my horse. I'm excited to get to that one and talk about it. But it's a fun sequence overall. A little interesting spot there at Del Mar. This is going to be a sequence I press. Because I'm singling the horse I'm singling, I have a couple bigger opinions in here as well. So I've got a $54 ticket for 50 cents. But I'm going to be pressing this puppy as well.
I did use the horse. I'm looking at it now and I realized I had the wrong number written down. So it's like, wait a minute. You were talking about the name of it.
Sure you
Give me a second here. See, here's the issue. I've had we had the Taylor Swift concert was last week. We had a fantastic time. Apparently, this Taylor Swift LA concert specifically is a massive super spreader of the recent COVID variant because it hit my wife and then it hit me and still kind of coming out of it. So yesterday I did the King's Plate preview with JD Fox for the channel and for the website. And I was editing it right afterwards, and I'm listening back, and I'm like, I don't remember saying any of these words right now. So, all that to say, things are a little rusty upstairs.
That's okay. It's a perfect time to do an hour podcast about the late pick 5 at Del Mar, then.
We got 2 more days to fit. No, I think my handicapping is there. It's just if you ask me what I said, I'd have to look back at my notes because I've got no idea. But anyways, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
What year did we start? Was it 17 or 18? It was one of the two.
It was 18 because it was right before Lily was born, or right afterwards.
Right. It was right before. Yeah. I think right before. Yep. Yeah. So 2017, been almost 5 years, 100 episodes a year. It's pretty good. Not too bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
I love your energy. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just chomping on my gum.
No. Usually by this point, I've already I'm scratching the itch. I'm like looking around the corner. I'm like, all right, looking for something better. But nope, I'm still here. No, I'm just kidding. No, we got the Del Mar late pick 5 on Saturday, August 19th to get into. Let's do it. Riders up. All right, Mike, here we go. First leg of the Del Mar late pick 5, Saturday, August 19th. Race 6, 12 males, 4 and up, plus 2 also eligible as routing a mile on the turf at the N2X allowance level. Where'd you go on top?
I actually thought this was maybe the toughest race in the whole pick 5 sequence here. I put the 1 on top here. I know how much you love Victor Espinoza, so I just couldn't help myself. Hit the road here, just getting a big time drop in class. I realize this is open 80. There's some pretty good horses in here. But if you go back before the layoff, we're talking about 7, 8 straight graded stakes, back-to-back races. Ran okay in some of those back in 2021. Didn't see the same form in 22. I liked that first effort off the bench in 2023. DeJour won that race. He had been knocking the door in graded stakes. That was a restricted race for horses who hadn't won 8 graded stakes. I thought Hit the Road ran well, especially off the bench. Now you're getting second out for Dan Blackert. This is a horse I think takes a step forward and I think plays perfectly into the pace here. You have enough horses that want to go, but not an abundance of speed. And I also love the post position. I think Hit the Road is just going to absolutely trip out here in this spot. So give me the 1 on top.
My issue with Hit the Road is not Victor Espinoza. I just don't know that they just got it anymore. Like, he was really great at one point, and that was 2 years ago, just about. So we haven't seen him really be able to stay healthy that long. But now it's second off the left. Maybe he can take a step forward. It's definitely a big class drop for him and something that he needs. I just don't know. that it's going to work out. I just realized now, since we started the show, that the 2 is actually going to scratch Zarok or Zarek, so that changes things from a pace perspective quite mightily. But top pick for me is going to stay the number 5 Evening Sun at 6-1, second off of a long layoff. Last time it was a total scratch off. Horse hadn't been seen in 449 days, and then they bring him right back into a stakes race an opening weekend at Del Mar. And then on top of that, he's got a really tough trip to contend with. But Barrios keeps the mount instead of being named on the 2, which was trained by Amador Sanchez. And Barrios and Sanchez are very successful together, 23% winners in the last year. By the way, Evening Sun, 2 for 2 at Del Mar, which comes at a mile and also a mile and a 16th. So should be able to handle this absolutely no problem. Did you use the 5?
That was my second pick. The 1 and the 5 are probably going to be my pressed horses here. All the reasons you said here. Second off a layoff. It kind of felt like that was a race that Evening Sun needed one. You mentioned the trip. The horse pulled early, was kind of rank. Barrios couldn't really get it to settle. Tried to do some running down the lane, but kind of got shut off there as well. So a couple reasons why I think Evening Sun didn't get the best trip possible there. So for me, the 1 and the 5 are the must-use. They're probably the 2 I'm going to be pressing. I did end up going 4 deep here. And I went to 2 horses that are further to the outside as the other 2 I'm going to use. I had the 10 Handy Dandy as the third pick here. Mike Smith picks up the mount for Peter Miller. Last time we saw this horse was trying the Eddie Reed. That was a mile and an eighth. I don't love the distance for this horse. It runs some decent races that mile and eighth, but I think the mile is better. He's run 8 times at this distance, 3 wins, 2 seconds, 2 thirds. Loves Del Mar. It's 3 wins and 7 starts with 2 place efforts as well. I like the fact that we're getting second off the turf, third off the layoff here. Again, this is the more realistic spot as well. We've seen this horse in graded stakes, 4 of them, consistently runs okay in there, finishes somewhere between 4th and 7th. But when it gets into this allowance company, we've got 2 seconds, we've got a win. So for me, this spot for Handy Dandy is a good one here. So I don't mind the 6-1 price either with the 10 horse.
This is my 4th horse. I only went 3 deep, but this would have been my next horse in. I was trying to make a case for it and ended up making a case for someone else. But you're right. At all the angles that you mentioned, I think this horse was really going to flourish at Del Mar. Just last time was way too much for him. Next up for me is a horse that we both used as well. That's the 11th Sarawar for Leonard Powell, getting Jockey Juan Hernandez to ride. Comes out of a really nice looking win over this course in distance versus N1X Allowance Company. Stepping up to N2X, I think he can handle this no problem. The horse who finished 3rd in that race, by the way, last time out, is my top pick in race 10 at the end of the late pick 5 here. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But again, Hernandez keeping them out for Powell, and Powell had that great winner with Maltese Falcon that you predicted in the grade 3 La Jolla handicap last week. So his barn's doing very well, and you've got the leading rider riding him.
Yeah, all the same reasons I use the 11. I don't love the post, but I did love that last effort there, taking a little bit of a step up from M1X to open company. But this is third off a layoff for a 4-year-old. You'd expect you're going to see a little bit of improvement. Hernandez stays aboard. So to me, it made a ton of sense. The horse that I didn't use, so I was 4 deep. I'm 1, 5, 10, 11. I went back and forth on the 4 flashiest here and ended up leaving this one off the ticket. Did you consider flashiest at all, which is the other Leonard Powell in here?
No, not just as a horse to win. I think underneath might be interesting, but not to win.
Yeah, the 0 for 13 in the last 2 years was kind of what kept me off of this horse. You consistently see good efforts. The buyers fit with this level. He gets second off a layoff here. Has a win at Del Mar. Has 3 wins at the distance. All of those were a while back, though. And this field is good enough where I just couldn't kind of find a way to add the 4. But that would be the other one if someone scratches out here. I am a little bit interested in.
A great horse to own just because you're keeping the lights on. Lots of 3rd and 4th place finishes in these allowance races is pretty good. Last up for me, and I especially like this pick now that the 2 is scratched, is the 6 Goliad at 8-1. Second off of the layoff, going sprinter route, and I think this horse is now your clear lone speed, and not always something that you want to play at Del Mar, especially not this early in the meet, maybe more so in the winter. But if you look at last year, he went off of a layoff into a sprint in Santa Anita into a route at Del Mar, and he won that route. Well, he's doing the same thing here. Again, he gets a really great pace setup, and he's keeping Reese Bully aboard. And then he showed in his 2-year-old season that, let's just say somebody else decides to take the role of the 2 and gun it out there and beat him to it. He showed in his 2-year-old season he could come from off the pace, but I really don't think that happens with the 2 gone. So 6 is going to be the last one on the ticket for me here.
Yeah, I think the 3 is a pace pressure, but I do agree with you. The 6 doesn't necessarily need the lead. I think it's important to go back and look at those races. A huge gap there between the what was it, the 3 and the 4-year-old season, essentially. So it took a ton of time off. That's why it's a lightly raced horse is 6. But the race is really the maiden special weight breaker where, you're length back at the half-mile point, the race where you just missed at Del Mar the next time out, again, 2 lengths back sitting in 3rd. So it doesn't have to have the lead. I think the 3 sends just because what we've seen of the 3 in the past. But I don't want to be on the lead right now at Del Mar. On these 2-turn route grass races, I want to be coming from off the pace. You don't need to be like way out of it, but I don't want to be on the lead. And so for me, that was one of the reasons I didn't use the 3 or the 6 in this spot.
Fair enough. Second leg of the Del Mar late pick 5 on Saturday, August 19th, race 7. 10 maiden 2-year-old fillies sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the main track. No Bob Baffert's in here, so no one's going to be extremely overbet, or will they? Where are you going on top?
Or will they? Look, I like the 1 tomorrow here on the inside. I don't love playing first-time starters on the inside, but this just feels like the Mandela that's going to go. Mike Smith picks up the mount. They're 19% together over the last 2 years. The workout tab is really solid, and I like the way that you have the varying distances in the workouts here, too. So you've got, 4 back, you go minute flat, going 5 furlongs, and you go 5 furlongs out of a gate. That 59-1, I think, is sneaky good. Then I like that 111 and 3. So you get a little bit more of the stamina in, especially considering we're going 6.5, and then you blow it out going 3 furlongs just to make sure you still have the speed there. I like that workout pattern. I don't think there's any world beaters in here. There's the other horse that Mandela has, the 7, feels like wants longer. And so I felt like the 1 was the way to go with the 2 Mandelas. So I put the 1 on top. The other horse I like quite a bit here is the 5, Timely Arrival. Michael McCarthy going out. It's the son or daughter of Violence. And you get JJ Hernandez, who picks up the mount. The workout tab is solid. These 2 combined for 19% here at Del Mar. He's 16% first-time starters. And again, this is a lot of longer workouts. You've got those 5 furlong, 4 furlong workouts consistently for this one. Rapoli on the West Coast is dangerous. He doesn't run a ton of horses out here. When it is, it's usually a filly. It's usually with McCarthy, and they're usually pretty good. So I like the 1 and the 5 quite a bit here.
Yeah, like a horse named Pushiness. 2 for 2 Calbred Stakes winning 2-year-old filly for Rapoli and Michael McCarthy. This is my top pick, was the 5. Being out of a Malibu Moon mare, she's also bred on the bottom side to really pop her late age too. So I like this horse a lot. I like that we're getting 6-1 on her. I'm not sure if we'll get that because of how much you and I both like her. I left off the 1 because Beholder and all of the other siblings did not actually pop right away. They kind of needed a little bit of time to get going. Now, Beholder did win her second start at age 2, but the other 2 siblings that Tamara's had, 2 of them have never won. They were complete duds on debut. And then the other one that did win didn't do it until she was 3. So it kind of takes them a little while to get longer. So I split it. I actually went with the other one, the 7 Flint's Chances, my second choice here. Full sister to Moonlight D'Oro, a horse that I briefly had with my racehorse. She was second on debut at age 2 at Del Mar and was very precocious from that point on. Mandela does win with 22% with first-time starters. And you've got the 7 and the 1, both first-time stars, both from Spendthrift Farm. And it's interesting to me, Mike, because one of them is a daughter of Beholder, and they clearly would want that one to shine. So do you think it was odd that Mandela did enter them against each other?
No, because I think the 1 is going to shine. I like, you just look, it's Maglador out of a Bernardini mare. That just screams 2 turns on the 7. And when you look at the workout tab, this is one that it does not have the same speed that the 1 has, right? So even that 114 last time going 6 furlongs, you've got a similar gate drill back on July 29th with the 59 and 4. So you would expect there's some speed here, but to me, this is a 2-turn horse. I think this is kind of the first step, and then I think after that, you're taking the step forward with Flint's Choice. So this is a wait and see horse for me. I'm much more interested if they stretch the horse out.
Last for me was the number 10 Arctic Breeze. Getting 8-1 with Peter Miller and Joe Bravo, is a $375,000 daughter of Arrogate out of a dam who was second on debut, won her second start at age 2. And I like that Joe Bravo's picking up this mount. I also like that, unlike the other Peter Miller horse in here, the 8, this horse has always been training at Del Mar since the meet began. The 8 was in a maiden claiming race. First time was training at San Luis Rey. There's limited stall space at Del Mar, and so for Peter Miller to just have the 10 continuously training there tells me very clearly the better of the 2. I think the horse has had some nice works, and I think is bred to do well at this distance on debut. So I like the 10 here, 8-1 as well.
Yeah, the 10 was the last horse off my ticket, and if you want to add it, you can. It's $72. I went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to add the 10. Miller been a little bit hotter recently as well. Started out the meet a little bit slow. I ended up using the 3 Hope Road just because this one's got experience. I think the 6.5 helps. At 5 furlongs, this horse was coming and was going to catch Dua in my mind, but just kind of ran out of time. Dua ran okay last weekend. I wouldn't say great, but okay. And ran against some pretty good 2-year-old fillies. So I'm not going to completely knock it. I think Hope Road would have won that race at 6.5 furlongs. So I think the stretch out here helps. I like the fact that it's got one under the belt against a bunch of first-time starters. So I just ended up going 1-3-5, but I'm going to press through the 1-5 here.
Yeah, the horse that she dead heated with for second behind Dua was 5th in that same race. So, yeah, I couldn't use. This is the horse I thought was going to get way over bet because she had that dead heat for second behind a Baffert first time starter. I'll let her beat me. I'm afraid that 7-1 last out. I'm thinking 7-5 is probably what she goes off in this spot. I was just afraid she'd be over bet.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think they're clearly going to be the favorite, and that's why like I said, I'm going to press around the 1-5, but I'm going to include the 3 on the 50 center.
And it's why you also happen to have a single as well. We'll get to that in a little bit here. Third leg of the late pick 5 at Del Mar on Saturday, August 19th. Race 8, the Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks for 10 3-year-old fillies routing 1 1/8 miles on the turf. Where'd you go on top?
I thought this was an interesting race. I went with the 5-horse Anisette on top for Leonard Powell. Just when you go back and you watch the replays, that last one was just phenomenal from her. She just exploded. Went from 7th to 1st in the blink of an eye, going 5 wide around the far turn. That was her first effort at Del Mar. She got the win. Second in North America. You saw the nice improvement that you were hoping for. Now she gets out a third time. The pace setup is here. She should be able to close. Rispoli stays aboard. It just kind of feels like all systems go. And then even the second, Ultimate High kind of comes up in a bunch of the different past performances for these horses, and one of the others I'm going to be using. And she, as a 3-year-old, beat Ultimate High and older horses 2 back at Santa Anita in the North American debut. So I thought that was a very impressive win as well. So I have the 5 Anisette on top here.
Yeah, there's no reason to think she can't beat all of the horses that she faced last time in the San Clemente going longer. I mean, she had the lead and she took off, and she very easily could have handled going this distance that day. I went too deep, and the other horse that I used, you didn't. When we talked about the number 9, Be Your Best, I refuse to give up on her. I keep thinking this horse is going to break through at age 3. She nearly won the Grade 2 Wonder again, 2 starts back at Belmont going this distance. But what I really find interesting is that she ships out here to Del Mar for a Grade 1 race when she's 2 for 2 at Saratoga, and she could have been in the Grade 3 Saratoga Derby at a track that she's has shown a strong affinity for. She's been training in Saratoga, and yet they wanted that Grade 1 status for her instead of the bigger purse, but the Grade 3 is Saratoga Oaks. I've been saying Saratoga Derby, Saratoga Oaks. But that's a race that I thought it was interesting that they purposely skipped that race to show up here. So I used her. Juan Hernandez picking up the mount for Horatio De Paz, and she's an East Coast filly coming in to face the West Coast.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. I mean, if it wasn't 2 back and the Wonder again, the Grade 2 there against Prerequisite, I don't know when it's going to be. She showed all the promise in the world in those 2 first races at Saratoga and just never really could repeat back to that form. And my biggest issue here is I don't love it when you look at the buyers or pretty much any numbers for time form is pretty accurate on this as well. You have 2 efforts, the first 2 starts of her career that were at Saratoga, that are better than pretty much anything except for that Grade 2 Wonder again, 2 back, where she popped the career best buyer. But she's been going backwards really since she started her career instead of going forwards. And so I understand, okay, they ship her out here. To me, it seems a little bit like they felt they had to get her out of that East Coast group because she's just not good enough. And unfortunately for her, I think this is a pretty good group of 3-year-old West Coast fillies that are running in this race. And so I think this is the horse that's going to get overbet in this spot that I don't want any part of. I don't think she goes off as a favorite, but I don't think she goes off as your clear second choice here. And I just didn't want to use her in that spot. I did use the 6 Impact Warrior right to the outside of Anisette. I mentioned Ultimate High. This one lost to Ultimate High first time out in North America, but I thought ran really well. The trip wasn't perfect. It was good enough to try and get the job done, but Ultimate High just kind of got the jump on Impact Warrior. Now you're getting second off the layoff, second time in North America for Phil D'Amato. It seems like an all systems go. I would expect you get some improvement. And if you look at both time form and buyer numbers, the last race from the 5 Anisette and the 6 Impact Warrior, very similar in both cases. And I think Impact Warrior has a chance to improve more than Anisette does here in this spot. So I like the price at 4-1. I think that probably floats up a little bit. I think you end up around 5-1, somewhere in that range, because the money the 9 takes. So I have the 5 and the 6 as the 2 horses I like from a press perspective. And then I felt like you had to include the 2 window shopping here too. This is just a really interesting horse. And this is, I'm a sucker for this type of run line, but you have a debut at Del Mar where the horse debuts on turf, doesn't run great. They bring the horse back on turf at Santa Anita, but it washes off. So they end up running on the dirt. And then you have back-to-back dirt graded efforts because of how good that dirt race was. Well, Mandela thought it was the better turf horse. And the sire is American Pharaoh, and by Tappet mare, that screams pretty good turf breeding. I understand why they tried this horse on the turf the first time. Now we're getting back to the turf for the first time. And Mandela, not someone who overly aggressively places horses. So to drop this one on debut at Del Mar on the turf for the first time since debut and put it in a grade 1 race tells me this horse is working out very well. It's all systems go. You get Hector Berrios up 6-1 on the tag. So I like the 2 quite a bit here as well.
This is I think 3rd and 4th up for me in this spot. I like both of these horses. I just like the 2 I had a little bit better, but I definitely like who you discussed. One you didn't mention that I was curious to get your thoughts on is the 4 Ruby Nell. This is another spendthrift horse, but Edwin Maldonado rides. This was a horse that was, I believe, an over $1 million purchase earlier in her career, or before she even made it to the races there. She's looked great in 2 straight turf route races. Did you consider her? Do you think she's hit the board type?
I thought about it, but this feels like a horse that's going to need to go gate to wire. And you've got the 7 Big Pond trying the turf for the first time, is going to be forwardly placed. You've got the 3 Infinite Diamond, who has pretty much been forwardly placed in everything she's done except for that last race on the turf. So we'll see if she tries to switch up that style. But it has a 97 early time form rating and a horse that has been forwardly placed. So I don't like Ruby Nell because of the other speed presence in here. And we talked about how I'm not really a big fan of horses trying to go gate to wire at Del Mar right now. That kind of knocked Ruby Nell down a peg. One I'm interested in that we haven't talked about that ended up just missing the ticket and is 15-1 is the horse on the outside, Paris Secret. It's the D'Amato Bravo horse. The trips haven't been great since the Providencia, which is a grade 3 this horse won, got an 82 buyer that day, came back in the honeymoon. The trip was okay, but it was wide the whole time, ended up running up, got 3rd in that spot. The last trip was brutal. I mean, just never got to run an inch. You can kind of see it in the running line as well, where, you're 12th and you're 5 lengths back. You end up running 9th. So you pass 3 horses, but you're 3 lengths back. I mean, it's just had to check multiple times during that race, just never really got to run. And now you see D'Amato coming back with this horse with Impact Warrior in the race, and you get Joe Bravo aboard, one of the better turf riders there at Santa Anita. Again, this is another one where if you want to expand it out to $72, I don't hate the idea of adding the 10 here at a price of 15-1.
And it is an Irish-bred filly for Phil D'Amato at Del Mar. Always an angle that I like to play as well. Interesting horse at 15-1 for sure. Didn't make my ticket, but is a interesting one nonetheless. Penultimate leg of the Del Mar Late Pick 5 on Saturday, August 19th. Race 9, we've got 9 older horses routing a mile on the dirt at the 10.5K to the 12.5K. Claiming level, where'd you go on top?
Well, I don't usually like to try and take horses who you have to have repeat efforts at this type of level, but to me, the 7 just towers over this field. Universal Payday, 5-2 for Papadromo off the claim. Joe Bravo in the saddle. Off the claim, 25% with a 40-race sample size. Pretty darn good. Together at Del Mar, they're 21%, 20% overall over the last 2 years. Just missed winning last time. I had to go 5 wide on the far turn, but I thought ran pretty well in that spot, considering we broke out of the 7 post going a mile that day. I think we're going to get a nice trip here again. I don't see them. I think they're going to go pretty quick early and set up for the 7 here. I didn't love really anyone else here, and that's one of the reasons I ended up singling. As I went through it, the only other horse I really even considered was the 3. And that's 3-1 on the morning line. I'm not someone who's like, okay, I've got the 2 favorites in a race that is arguably wide open. Like, the last thing I want to do is go too deep and use them both. So for me to just cheapen down this ticket, I felt like the 7 was the better horse and kind of towered over this field in a lot of ways. As long as we can run back to, 5 of the last 7 races, I think are all good enough to win this race.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you can look at point it to so many different races in the past and say, it gives it a chance at this level, it gives it a chance. So that's what you want. I did use the 3 as my second choice, but I went 3 deep, so I didn't go too deep and use the 2 lowest choices. The 3 beat most of the horses in this group in the exact same setup while they're all in for 8K tags. they're all bumping up in price. So it's not like, oh, it's a big class bump up for him. Like, no, a lot of these horses were in the 8K claiming level with him. And I think just the fact he's got the experience edge on him, he's forwardly placed. Maldonado rides through the claim. It's a good move, I think, for the horse and for the jockey. Third up for me, I went with the number 9 Granada Flavor at 6-1. This horse takes a pretty suitable class drop. 2 back gets claimed for 20K out of the Sean McCarthy barn, had been running pretty well, had 2 straight wins in for 20K claiming tags at the mile distance at Santa Anita. And then they claim him for 20. They run him back protected in a starter allowance race. That was not a good idea. He's a closer. It was a 5-horse field at Los Al. He didn't have a shot in hell of winning that race. So scratch that one off. He drops back into a suitable spot. Now he's actually in for lower than what they claimed him for, but it's Del Mar. They're trying to get a win for him. And I like Tiago Pereira picking up the mount. We saw Sunday at Del Mar with that IRAD move that he pulled on the turf. Tiago will try and press the rules. He'll try and ride like IRAD if he needs to get a win done. So I just hope that this time, if he does it, he doesn't get caught and disqualified.
You mean Peralta? Is that who you?
Pereira. Yeah, Tiago Peralta. Yeah.
I have baseball in my mind. When we were doing this last week, I called him Tiago Pereira like multiple times. Anyway, or Peralta multiple times. I like the 9. I don't hate it. I was 7-3-9, so I kind of understand where you're going there. The one horse I thought was a little interesting, sitting on Go on the rail. This is a horse that's coming off the claim. I like it when longer priced horses get claimed, especially by trainers. They're pretty good off the claim. And so you had this horse at 10-1 last time out in a 9-horse field, ends up getting claimed out of that race by Jeff Matz, who's 16% off the claim. The one work since of 47-4 out of the gate. So I think the one maybe sitting on a good one here. So I have a little interest in the one sitting on Go. The problem with the 3 and why, look, Satchel Stevens takes over the claim here, 0-2 at Del Mar, 1 for 16 for the year, one workout since. It was a bad workout. It's hard for me to think the 3 is just going to replicate it. However, if there is a chance it's going to happen, it's this quick back, right? Where you can't change that many things. The horse has a good opportunity to run back to it. But I don't love it when you have these smaller barns that claim horses and then it's a short price. The race after they won at a short price at that level, because it a lot of times that goes south for you.
I'm just wondering, how much damage could one guy do with an 8K open claimer at Del Mar? I mean, I feel like I could, as long as I just kept it fed and happy, all right, the damn thing's this jockey knows what to do. Just put him back on, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, how much do you upgrade horses when someone claims them, right? I mean, you got to think it can work in both directions, right?
Kevin, I'm trying. I am trying so hard. The amount of caffeine I've had in my body just to make it to this point. Listen, I do it for the people. One horse, if you wanted to go wild, a horse that I thought a huge price bombs away, the number 4 Mongolian Kingdom. I wouldn't have hated this if you want to use this horse. Second off of a long layoff, he missed 293 days. He comes back, never involved, whatever, that's fine. Clearly he needed to knock the rest off. Now he's facing the same group. They're bumping up, but he's going to get a 2-pound weight break. He's adding blinkers, which is interesting. But he's back at a track at Del Mar where if you scratch out that last effort when he was rusty, 3 previous starts, he broke his maiden and 2 second-place efforts. And I think that he is sneaky at this spot. I'm just not so sure. Is Baraccio going to be able to, is Baraccio more of a third off of a long layoff trainer? I don't know him well enough to comment on that.
Yeah, the problem is you make a good point on the Del Mar form. That was all in maiden claiming 20s though, right? It was never against winners.
Which he finally left 3 starts ago.
Yeah, there you go. So you finally break your maiden for 20, and then you're like, all right, we're taking a year break now. Let's go. I can't bet any Mongolian Kingdom if it's not if it's not Elizabeth Gambit who's training it. The Mongolian just fits with her. I trained this in my mind that it's got to be her if it's a Mongolian horse.
And a Mishkan, whatever. It's a he, by the way. I'm trying to think. Is he done? Did he retire? I've seen a lot of his horses have been transferred. Maybe he retired. Anyways, we'll ponder on that a little bit more in another show. The 5th and final leg. Whoops, and I hit the wrong button here. 5th and final leg of the Del Mar Late Pick 5 on Saturday, August 10th. Race August 19th, race 10. See the medicines wearing off. Race 10, 11 males, 3 and up, rounding a mile on the 16th on the turf at the N1X allowance level. Mr. Somich, where's your top pick?
Give me the 4-horse, Tio Magico, just for you, buddy.
Thank you.
Second off the layoff, D'Amato. Rispoli stays on the mount. We talked about Sawar in the first race of this. That was the 11 horse. That's the horse that won last time out. Tio Magico is actually favored over that horse. Rispoli stays aboard. I would expect you're going to see an uptick here. 2 races at Del Mar, a second and a third. Both of those I thought were solid. Going a mile and a 16th, I kind of like the added distance. Has an effort here over Del Mar in a mile and 16th. Lost that one, but lost to a next out winner in that spot. Ended up running second there as well. Again, is going to come from way out of it, but there's enough pace in here that I don't think that that's a terrible thing. So give me the 4 Tio Magico on top.
Top pick for me, number 4, Tio Magico. All the reasons that you mentioned there. Yeah, I would tease it earlier. Talked about Sarwar racing with this horse. So I agree with you on that one. I went 3 deep. Next up for me is the number 7, Act 3 at 5-1 here. And a big step up facing winners after beating Maidens last out. But who was part of that group last time out that he beat? Maltese Falcon. What did Maltese Falcon just do? Won the grade 3 La Jolla handicap at Del Mar last week. Maltese Falcon, a very talented horse, just couldn't break through. He finally did. Act 3 did it before him. Rispoli is staying with the 4, who's our top pick, but the horse picks up Juan Hernandez. Okay, all right, that's fine. It's like saying, well, we lost Pratt, but we gained Irad. Okay, I'm not going to be that upset about it. So give me the 7 as my second up.
Yeah, this was my 4th horse in the race. I only went 3 deep, so I ended up not using the 7 here, but I agree. Could fire a big one there. Second for me was the 5-horse, Baj here for Sadler and Ronis Racing. Fesu stays aboard here. Came out of that same race with Tio Magico. If you're using one, kind of have to use the other here. The horse ended up running, what was it, a nose? Or 3/4 of a length, I'm sorry, behind Tio Magico that day. Going to be more forwardly placed. This is one of your speed horses, but has shown the propensity to be able to pass horses, and for me, that was a key. So I don't think we actually have to have the lead with Baj. I think we're going to sit, hopefully, a rail trip here in third, saving ground both turns, and end up making one big run, get the lead at the top of the stretch, and see if we can hold them off. But I like the 6-1 price. I think this horse is ready to pick up. Or I like this horse at the mile and 16, so hopefully the extra distance helps out Baj in this spot.
And that's funny. The reason I ended up leaving the horse off because I didn't like that we were stretching the horse back out to a mile and a 16th. The 2 times that they did try it, the horse was trying to do it on the front end and ended up fading to 4th. But different tactics have been tried since then with this horse. So we'll see what happens. But next up for me, 3rd and final, I should say, the number 10, Hakimi, at 10-1 here for Hector Barrios and Amador Sanchez. These two, like I mentioned earlier in the show, they connected at 23% together. And if you remember last year, a big part of Barrios' coming out party at Del Mar was riding Amador Sanchez horses. Mm-hmm. This was a stakes winner in the native Chile, making the 2nd North American start, getting the ship and win bonus because we made the North American debut on the synthetic at Gulfstream Park, just kind of waiting for the turf to open at Del Mar. Here we are. I think this horse is very interesting at a price in the finale.
Yeah, I don't hate this one. I didn't end up using it, but look, when Barrios is riding for Sanchez, you kind of have to pay attention. I mean, that's what we learned at Gulfstream Park. We learned that at Del Mar last year. I don't hate the spot here. I think there's some talent in this field. That's one of the main reasons I didn't end up going with that one. But again, yeah, I don't hate to use the 10 there. I use the 6. El Potente here is my last horse, who I think does have a shot at trying to take this field gate to wire. Clearly the best horse from a buyer perspective the last 2. If we can repeat one of those 2 efforts, could be awfully tough here in this spot. So not getting too creative there, but I think you kind of have to use the 6.
6 was I left off, but I had definitely considered until the end here. And then I saw the price. I was surprised this horse was a 5-2. More than it must be buyers. I'm working with time form, so maybe the buyers say that this horse should be fair. I know it was won 3 straight, but those were maiden claimers or starter allowance. So I guess I was a little surprised the horse was 5-2.
Yeah, the buyers say this one should be a pretty heavy favorite. Back-to-back 90s with an 88 the race before that. And if you just look at the 3 races, 3 wins by a combined 14+ lengths. So I would say this is a good morning line. I would expect the 6 to be your favorite.
The horse, by the way, last time the horses he beat in that starter allowance, that was not winners of 3 lifetimes. So it's a step up in the sense that the horses he's raced against before were at one point in for claiming tags, but they also were experienced winners. So, like I said, I considered it, just especially if 5-2 can't make it on my ticket, but you have a much cheaper ticket.
Yes, I do.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining Mike and I. Didn't mean to make this quick, but it was Del Mar Saturday late pick 5 for August 19th, highlighted by the Del Mar Oaks. For the podcast listeners, we'll give out our tickets one more time. If you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, take a look down below. We've got it posted for you here. I'll start off. I'm going to go 5, 6, 11 with 5, 7, 10 with 5, 9 with 3, 7, 9 with 4, 7, 10. $81 for me, Mr. Somich.
I'm going to go 1, 5, 10, 11 with 1, 3, 5 with 2, 5, 6, single up the 7, and then close it out with 4, 5, 6. That'll cost you $54 for 50 cents.
If you are playing along, let us know in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. Love to see what your tickets are. Even if, and especially if you do disagree with us, let us know what you think. Kevin B is very excited about Hector Barros. Said Barros could be riding you or Magic, and I'd be betting him. So yeah, that works out. Doc says, "Wow, it was a fast. I only saw 4 patients during this show. How are you curing cancer and seeing?"
Well, Doc doesn't actually do anything. He just delivers news. That's what.
Well, that's right. He's the doctor. The nurses do all the real work. I understand.
Yeah, exactly. So he just got a degree and makes some money for walking around and handy. I would bet that he carries an iPad around with him and just handicaps while he's walking around. He's like, and they think he's looking at like research, and he's just looking at the.
He's probably just regurgitating the same BS into each room. He just like has to look at the chart to see what their name is and gender, and then he just blah 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 blah, blah and the rest of it he's like auto speak while he's handicapping. Although if that's what the case, he was giving me a tip earlier, and the horse I think is still trying to finish at Saratoga, so maybe not the best practice, Doc. Maybe try and focus a little more on one thing. We're going to focus on giving you some more winners over at racingdudes.com and youtube.com/racingdudes. Make sure you head over there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Get the Somobombs. You will be hitting Saratoga and Del Mar all weekend, I'm sure.
Yep, Saratoga and Del Mar. Hopefully we can keep this Del Mar thing rolling. We've been on fire on Del Mar the whole meet, so we just want to keep it going here. And press tickets, by the way, I'm going 1, 5 with 1, 5 with 5, 6 with 7 with 4, 5.
Remington Park back tomorrow night on Friday, August 18th. And if you're catching this before then, Dudes After Dark is going to be covering it. They said, screw you, Del Mar. We're going to Remington Park. Hey. First people ever, I think. Covering Remington Park. So if you want to cover that with the guys, tune in Friday. They'll be doing that live here on the YouTube channel. Always a lot of fun. So if you can, grab a few drinks, join the boys for Dudes After Dark. We'll be back Friday, every Thursday through Sunday. So starting tomorrow. Friday we'll be back as well for Dudes Who Bet daily every Thursday through Sunday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Good Lord, I need to get out of here, Mike. My medicine is worn off. Anything else before I just completely tank this?
Over 17, first half. Eagles, Browns. Let's go, baby.
Boom, there you go. Until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
COVID sucks. See you guys.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by racingdudes.com.